The holiday season is upon us. Stay tuned as we aim to take the financial stress down a few notches on this episode of Headlines and Fine Print. Hello and welcome to Headlines and Fine Print, brought to you by Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. I'm Dion Williams, President and CEO of Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. During this episode, we're going to talk about finances during the holiday season. Now, ironically, it seems from a retailer's point of view, this started right after 4th of July. But I take a more practical view of this, that it's right after Halloween, getting to those last couple months of the year. So let's begin by talking about Santa's not the only one making a list. You should also make a list. That helps lower the stress of the holidays. If you think about the example of going shopping for groceries, they say, don't go shopping when you're hungry. And the reason why is because everything looks appetizing and you end up spending a lot more money than you intended to. So the same is true with your holiday spending. If you have a list of those for whom you're going to buy, roughly what you want to buy and what you want to spend, that right there puts you in a much better place, that you don't get distracted by shiny objects or good deals that you see walking into the stores, and you stay much more on budget. So that's our first fine print of this episode. Make a list and stick to it. But what are some other ways to keep the budget part down? It's easy enough to say, here are the people I want to buy for, this is what I want to spend, but how can you keep those costs down? Well, one idea within your family, your friend group, your work group, if you draw names instead of trying to buy something for everybody and you set a budget of how much you want to spend, that's a really good way to limit your out-of-pocket expenditure for the holidays. And the second one is don't shop at the last minute. And I can speak from experience on this. When you're shopping at the last minute, the thoughtfulness of it kind of goes out the window, and you're on, I want to complete the task, and that can lead to you spending more than you planned, buying more than you planned, and creating financial problems that spill over into the new year. So don't forget, and just mentioned, I talked about the thought that counts. So don't forget that it really is the thought that counts. A good gift is not defined by how much you spend. So there's other ways to give meaningful gifts to others. A lot of us have talents. Maybe it's cooking, maybe it's sewing, maybe it's woodwork, but there's a lot of things that we bring to the table that we can be really good at that make good gifts. Sometimes it's less expensive, but more importantly, it's just the thought that you put the time to make this with your own hands to give to the other person. So it doesn't have to be a store-bought gift to be a good gift. And then another example, and I can speak from experience on this, when my kids were younger, one of the most meaningful gifts you could get was a gift certificate for somebody to watch the kids, so my wife and I could go out and have a date night. Because sometimes, we have 3 kids and it can be very time consuming with their activities, and just someone saying, you know what, Friday or Saturday night, we're going to watch the kids, you go out and have a date night. That's something that meant a whole lot and meant a whole lot more than having something that was purchased from a store. And when it comes to charity, we'll talk about charitable giving in a minute, but the time versus money dynamic, we'll touch on that a little bit more, because that's something that also ties into the stress of your finances over the holiday season. So with charitable giving, you may hear this from a lot of sources, but the fine print is to beware of scams. Unfortunately, at this time of year, and think about it, we've had a devastating hurricane in western North Carolina and impacted other states in the southeast. Our better nature comes out to what can we do to help? We roll up our sleeves, we raise money, we gather goods, and we do everything we can to help and support our friends and neighbors and loved ones that are in need. But unfortunately, scam artists are thinking about how can they take advantage of this situation. So whether it's end of the year charitable giving or you're giving to a specific cause like the recent hurricane relief efforts, make sure that you're comfortable with whom you're giving. And a really good question to ask in this realm is how much of the money is actually going to the cause or the victims, and how much of it's going to administration, for example, salaries of people running the program. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask hard questions. And remember, if somebody's calling you or texting you or they're at your door and they're giving you a high pressure, hard sell to do something, take a moment and step back. That's usually a sure sign that you're being taken advantage of. It's a red flag. So take the time to do your own research and give in your own time as you want to. And with charity, writing a check can be very helpful, But keep in mind also, it doesn't always come down to dollars and cents. It can also be that you're giving of your time, especially in hurricane relief efforts, giving of your time. There was a lot of trees that had to be removed and a lot of things that have to be rebuilt and cleared out. So it's not always about money. Time is important as well. At Piedmont Advantage Credit Union, we had Simply Service Day in October, and our teams went out and we worked at various charities in the areas that we serve. And I can just tell you, that's a great feeling to go out and just spend time with your coworkers and help out a good cause. And it wasn't a financial transaction; it was a time investment, and that's so rewarding. And that's something that's a memory that sticks with you much longer than writing a check and handing it off and forgetting about it. So I mentioned before that it's not all about spending. So let's look at a couple of opportunities that you can maybe position yourself better financially through the holiday season. Now, a lot of retailers, and I know a lot of us shop online now, but if you go out to the malls or to the big box retail stores or the small stores on Main Street, some of those stores need seasonal help during the holiday season. So that can be a way, if you have time, to earn some extra money during the holidays, so it's not all about spending. And I think that's one of the main stressors of the holiday season. It's spend, spend, spend. But some of the needs of the retailers during this time of year, there's also a chance that you can earn money and put yourself in a better financial position. And a second thought is a club account, and that's something that we offer at the credit union, of course, but you can set aside money today for a future holiday season, and some folks will do it for vacation over the summer. But a club account, the whole concept is you're setting aside money maybe every time you're paid or once a month. You put that money into a savings account. It earns interest, and then whenever you need it for that purpose, it's there for you. And again, we talked about emergency funds in prior episodes. It's not that you have every penny you need for the holiday season or for the emergency in that situation, but however much you have there is less that you would have to borrow or get from some other source at the time that you need it. So don't forget about the club accounts, because for this year it's too late obviously for the holiday season, but you can start your club account now for next year's holiday season. And just if it's $10 or $25 every time you're paid or once a month, all of that will add up for you for next year. So one last word on spending, and we previously talked about discipline over the holiday season, having the list and sticking to your budget. But I want to talk for a minute about buy now, pay later, and we could do a whole show on this. Actually, we'll do one of those in the start of next year on this topic, because when I was a kid growing up, there was layaway. So if I wanted a bicycle, Mom and Dad were getting that for me. You'd put the bicycle at the customer service desk and you would make payments on it until it was paid in full. Then you got the bicycle. Well, we've kind of put that in reverse in today's world. You leave with the bicycle and you're making payments for the next 12 months or 6 months or 4 months or whatever the arrangement is. It's convenient, and that's good. I like this in some cases better than credit cards, because a credit card purchase can literally linger with you for years because it's all predicated on minimum payments. Buy now, pay later is predicated upon generally paying it off in 12 months or less. I'm not saying that there's all upside to that, though, because there is interest on those charges, and those interest rates can be high. But also, if you bought 6 or 7 gifts in a buy now, pay later situation, you're going to be saddled with those payments for the next probably 12 months. And you might think, well, it's $20, it's $50, it's $40. Okay, multiply that out times 6 or 7, then you're talking several $100s a month, and then you have an adverse impact on next year's budget. So just, again, it's a tool. It's another way of getting something today and making the payments on it later. But just with anything, buyer beware, read the fine print, make sure you understand the terms and conditions. But it kind of is the reverse layaway concept that we talked about earlier. So closing thoughts for today's episode. Hope you found this helpful. Hope you find this to be less stressful this holiday season, that we've given you some ideas for how to maybe even make money over the holidays or save money, keep the financial outflow a little bit lower. Remember that time and talent is just as valuable, if not more valuable, than money. The holiday season is about spending time with your loved ones. So if you keep that front and center instead of worrying about the financial stresses of it, that unto itself will be much less stressful. So I hope today's tips have positioned you well to enjoy the next couple of months and have a stress-free holiday season. So thank you again for joining this episode of Headlines in Fine Print, brought to you by Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. Again, I'm Dion Williams, and you can reach us. You can reach me at 336-750-7088. That's my cell phone. Or dion.williams@pacu.com. That's my email address. If you have questions about this episode, any past episode, or you want to suggest topics for a future episode. And at the credit union, we're here to help you, whether it's joining the credit union or you have any needs or questions. We're equipped with wealth management advisors, financial counselors, and can help you with any of your banking needs. Thank you for listening and hope you have a great day.